So that is the cool story, getting your house, this broken down thing from 1926 into a Better Homes and Garden cottage magazine. But life isn't always pretty.
That's right.
Do we jump right into it right away?
Yeah, we absolutely can. So I am divorced and I was married for 14 and a half years, I think it was. And in
Wow.
2009, my now ex-husband sat me down and just shared news that literally altered the course of my life. And at that moment, I thought, okay, this is not happening. Like, everything that I know to be true is now not true. Where do I go from here? And it was the most horrible experience of my whole entire life. I thought I would never recover from it.
Mm.
But, now going on, 10 plus years later, like I can totally trace the Lord's hand in my path
Mm.
and how he was setting me up to be single and setting me up to be able to provide for myself. And you know what? Now I would not change a minute of
Mm.
my story for anything. It was honestly the worst thing and the greatest thing that has ever happened to me in my whole life.
Wow. I knew reaching out to you that you had a powerful story, and it's not always fun. I mean, that is not fun to be married to someone, your best friend, the person who you trust the most, and to hear that person deliver news, which, obviously is betrayal. And um, your heart probably felt like it was torn out. I mean, in a lot of ways, like you had nowhere else to turn.
Yeah, I did. And but as bad as it was, after the initial shock wore off, and I did fight for my marriage for about 2 years, and obviously
Wow.
it still did not work out. But after even like giving it all that I had, like
Yes.
was adamant, like, okay, like this is not going to define my life. And I
Mm.
made some purposeful, intentional decisions, like to get out of that place and then to propel myself forward. And so I truly, truly believe that the actions that I took and the decisions that I make have gotten me to where I am today.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sarah, there's people that with the coronavirus, there's all kinds of stories. I mean, I know of a person whose special needs son just came down with it and he has to be
Mm.
quarantined. And there's someone named Annette who just lost an elderly family member from the virus. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Like no one planned this 2 months
Right.
ago, right? No one said, oh, we're going to have the NBA canceled and all sporting events and all schools. And yet it didn't catch God by surprise. And some
Exactly.
people are doubting God's goodness at a time like this. How did you not? Or maybe you did. Like,
Yeah.
did
No.
did you doubt God's goodness at that time?
So I did, and I was super angry at him, and I was, like God, like you saw all of this happening, and you could have prevented it. Like all you had to do, God, is just snap your finger, and like this story could be different,
Wow.
But in that moment, of course, I was angry and upset, but I could not see like this amazing life that I have 10 years down the road. And when you're in the thick of it, whether it's divorce or health issues or coronavirus, like you can't see like the steps that are being ordained for you down the
Yeah.
road. And that's what I've actually had to tell myself the last 2 weeks. And I found myself saying some of the same things that I said in 2009, like, God, like, I just want my life back. I can't stay
Yeah.
in my house for 2 months. And I had a very big meltdown, I guess, Saturday a week ago. But, coming out of that Sunday morning, I watched some, church services and just read some things that spoke life and truth into me. And
Mm.
I applied some of the same principles that I
Mm.
applied back in 2009. Like, I'm going to do today. I'm going to do what I can control today. And I'm not going to think about, like, what if I lose all my money? Or what if I can't work? Or what if I can't eat? Because today, like, I'm okay today in the moment. And I know there's people that aren't.
Mm.
But for me personally, like I am doing what I can control today. And that's exactly what I did in 2009. So those lessons I learned, 10 plus years ago are lessons I'm applying today.
Wow. We have a question here, and I want to read this because you might have an answer. And while you answer this, I'm actually going to share this right now on my Facebook personal profile because I think there's people who need to hear this tonight. I mean, it's just amazing when someone's real and authentic. But here's the question, and maybe you can answer that. How did you keep this incident from defining your life? So many
Mm.
times our stories become our lives. So do you have any thoughts on that one?
So honestly, in some ways, it has defined my life. I just made a choice to not stay in that place. I could have been, oh, woe is me, this happened to me, but after all the dust settled, I was very determined that this story was not going to be lived in vain. I'm like, I'm not going to be the divorced Christian girl for the rest of my life. Like, yes,
Oh,
that is
that's good.
a big part of my story, but I just was adamant to get out of that place. I made purposeful, intentional decisions to hold on to those scars because they do define me, but to use the bad things that happened to prove like God's faithfulness and prove how he has been so gracious to redeem my story and give me mercy and just redemption beyond my wildest dreams.
That is so good. Wow, I love that. We do have that stereotypical thing in our mind where you just said it. You said the divorced Christian girl, whatever. We all kind of have this thing in our mind or heart where it's like, I don't want to be that person. And yet
Right.
I was that person. You know my story. I was the Christian pastor who struggled with depression and even self-injury. And it's like,
Right.
we all have a story.
That's
Um,
true.
we do. So even this week, when you were thinking about, is the money going to be there? We got to talk if you're comfortable sharing it. I think this is awesome. When I reached out to you, so that probably was a day or two after you had your meltdown that you
Yeah,
said.
I think it might have been the same day. I don't
Maybe
remember.
the same day, because I reached out to you probably Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I basically said, listen, can you share your story with this group of thousands of people? And you were actually surprised that I was reaching out to you. But
I
isn't
was.
that like God, right?
It
Tell us a little
is.
bit about that.
Gosh, I mean, yeah, just again, because this bad thing happened to me, all of these amazing things have happened to me. I
That's
mean,
interesting.
and I don't want to brag, like hear my heart, like I can't believe like the
Share
things that
it.
have happened. I
We need
can't.
we need inspiration tonight. You
I
just
mean,
share
in
it.
so October alone, I was in 5 national magazines. So, Better Homes and Gardens, Cottage Style. My front yard was runner up for America's Best Front Yard. I've traveled all over the world. You're asking me to speak at this conference. I'm just like, what is happening right now?
Yeah,
I never saw it coming in 2009 when I'm laid out on the floor, like yelling at God because he just destroyed my life.
yeah.
I had no idea the things that he had in store for me. And I'm just
Mm.
every day I tell him like I'm so grateful. Like I'm so grateful that you chose to bring me out of that place, and to get me to where I am now. And so now, I started all these social accounts to document the renovation of my house and
It's
they've blown
blown
up.
up. I
Yes,
mean, you
they've
got a lot of followers.
unexpectedly, but the house is over. But yet I still show up there every day because I want everybody to know that
Mm.
grace, mercy, and redemption are real and it can happen to you. And so that's why I keep showing up in my space every day in and day out.
And that's so important. I mean, even Susan right now, look at this comment. I'm in the middle of a divorce and I'm beating myself up because I couldn't save it. I mean, your story tonight, Sarah, is grace for her. It's hope for her, because she might be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in the quarantine as well. And what does my future look like? So it's just powerful that What do you think about this quote? It definitely is not in Hallmark movies, okay? It was Oswald Chambers who said this. It scares people of faith a lot of times, but it says that until God wounds a person greatly, he cannot use a person deeply.
Oh, yeah. So I held on to that quote like dear in the
Really? You heard of
yes.
it?
It actually
Wow.
A.W. Tozer that said it.
A.W. Tozer, there you go. Thank
Yes.
you.
Oh my gosh, that and there were so many like quotes and verses and books that I read that I held on to those truths and those hopes. And I do just want to say to Susan real quick, Susan, like I promise you, like you're in the thick of it right now and you can't see like all the amazing things that are going to happen to you, but
Mhm.
I'm telling you, just hold tightly to those truths and hold tightly to that word. And I promise you, you will see some of the same things happen to you. It's true. People would tell me that, oh, this too shall pass. And I was like, look, my life just got destroyed. Okay. Like everything that I know to be true is no longer true. I know it's not going to be okay. That's what I was being told in the thick of it. But yet, here I am, and I can say it was absolutely true, 100%.
And this is so refreshing because I know someone else, not going to mention their name, they're not watching tonight, but maybe a similar situation. I don't even know the exact details, but I know that there was a divorce, and this woman is the complete opposite of you. And it could be a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter. But they're just bitter, they're angry. On social media, they're always lashing out at people, and you can tell that that has defined them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
think about this. I heard this recently. It blew my mind. I hope I get it right. We only love God as much as the person we love least.
Mm.
Dang, isn't that good? We only love God as much as the person we love the least. And it's like, wow. It basically just says that bitterness and anger and revenge, I mean, that can fill your heart, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and I will just say, like, it was not all like sunshine and roses for me.
Oh
It
yeah, no, we hear that.
This, I didn't just like after this happened, like, oh, I'm just gonna forgive and move on. No, that
Yeah.
was not the case. Like, so I fought for my marriage for about 2 years, and then it was probably a good 3 years before after the divorce that I could finally say, like, I forgive you, and I'm grateful for this journey and this story. But I was mad at God and probably
Sure
said some
you were.
appropriate things to him, but he can take it. He can
Yes.
take it. And so, but it's a process that you have to work through. So I don't want anybody to think that because they're bitter or angry, they're wrong. But it's
Right.
what you do with that bitter and that anger that
Yeah.
makes a difference. So I never once put anything on social media. A lot of people didn't even know what was happening for a very long time. And in fact, there's a large part of the story that I'm saving for my book that I have not told. And it's a big part of the story, and it has to be told so that everyone can see there's
Mhm.
more to this than just divorce. But
Mhm.
I'm not telling it from a place of revenge or spite. And so I had to wait until I got to a place where I'm full of redemption and mercy, where I can tell the story in a factual manner, but then also turn it around and show all the amazing things that have happened.